Ultron, Deadpool, and Star Wars The Force Awakens, and also this movie, Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, I've decided to stop getting overly excited for movies that seem too good to be true. It's not to say this movie is terrible, it's just very, very, very disappointing. But anyway, Batman v Superman is the Man of Steel sequel and the prequel to Justice League, directed by Zack Snyder and starring Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill as the titular characters. Now, this movie's been surrounded by controversy ever since the movie was announced. They're just trying to shoe in Justice League stuff to try and catch up to the Marvel movies and how they've been successful with the universe building. And then the controversy all started when Ben Affleck was cast as Batman. And people are really starting to regret their misgivings over Ben Affleck as Batman, because he's really good as Batman. He's a different kind of Batman. He's older. He's more tortured. You can really tell he's had this whole history before this movie of Bat Universe stuff, before Superman even showed up. He references a lot from the Bat Universe. You see burned out Robin suit in the Batcave, and you can tell he's been through a lot. In the past 20 years, he's been fighting crime. The good thing about having Batman in the movie is it doesn't get bogged down by the origin story. It does it very similar to that Edward Norton Incredible Hulk movie, where it's all in the opening credits and it's over with by the end of the opening credits, so it doesn't spend too much time focusing on, oh, my parents got shot, blah, blah, blah. But this is the best live-action Batman costume ever. It's perfect, armored. It's not like overly realistic. It looks really good. Batman's a great detective in the movie, and the combat is amazing. He has the Arkham style combat, where you can really tell he's a martial artist. Like, that's one complaint about the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, is that the Batman action was never that good. The problem is, this Batman is a stone cold murderer. He will kill you. He'll kill anybody. He'll murder henchmen. Like, he'll just blow up their cars indiscriminately. And so that makes me wonder, why is Jared Leto's Joker still alive? Kind of lends credit to he's Jason Todd theory, but I'm not going to believe that, ever. Even if they say, I'm going to be like, no. Logic would suggest that Batman has only started killing because Superman's arrived and he has to take these more extraordinary measures, but they kind of brush that off. Which leads me to the pacing of the movie. The pacing is pretty off. The movie has a very slow build-up when you're dealing with Superman, his place in the world, introducing Batman, and it's all the build-up to the Batman v Superman that's in the title. But even though he's one of the title characters, Superman doesn't get a lot to do in his own Man of Steel sequel, because they spend so much time focusing on Batman and all the other forced DC Universe stuff. There should have been more time dedicated to Superman, because he is the story catalyst. Everything that happens is the direct result of his arrival on Earth. And that's really disappointing, because I like Henry Cavill as Superman. I think he's perfect. But they don't give him a lot to do other than, kind of mope around, question his own place in the world. There were a lot of unnecessary dream sequences in the movie, one in particular involving Superman, and they felt really shoehorned in for no reason other than they're an excuse to do character development that they couldn't do naturally through the story, so nightmare sequences just come completely out of place. I enjoy the build-up. I like a slow burn, but when it actually gets to the title fight, it all feels very rushed. The story starts falling apart, which leads me to believe that the first hour could have been cut down to the first 20 minutes of the movie, and the movie could have been under 2 hours. Speaking of things getting cut, Amy Adams' Lois Lane should have been cut from the movie. She's not necessary at all. I don't know why she's in this movie, other than she had a contract obligation or something. I have no idea why Lois Lane is in this movie. She is not necessary at all, and her presence does not justify her role in the plot. She gets way too much screen time in a movie that's called Batman versus Superman. Well, she's there way too much. The opening scene is really just useless to the overall movie. The opening scene is the story kickoff that leads people to the public perception that we don't need Superman. Why is Superman here? Do we really need a Superman? But Man of Steel already did that. We already had a full movie of Superman and his actions and how they deliver consequences on the world. Why did we need this other story catalyst? It felt really jarring. Lois Lane also has superpowers in this movie. She shows up whenever the plot needs her. Same way in Man of Steel, they place way too much importance on Lois Lane. Unfortunately, it does look like she's sticking around in the DC Extended Universe, so I'm sure you'll hear this in my Justice League review in 5 years, whenever that movie comes out. The Daily Planet could have been cut. Man of Steel had that problem too, where they kept showing the Daily Planet people during the Metropolis destruction. They don't need them. Like, they put them there because they're our only human connection in the movie, so we don't focus on the people of Earth, but we don't need them. We care about Superman, we care about Batman, we care about Wonder Woman. We don't need to see the civilians and how they're dealing with the stuff that happens in the climax. Superman's mom was also in the movie. She didn't need to be there. She's just there to fill a stupid story purpose, which I'll get to. Now to the actual Batman versus Superman fight. The reason they're fighting
is stupid.
Batman has legitimate reasons to be afraid of Superman, but there's not a lot of scenes with both of them together, building the rivalry between them and their ideological differences. It's just like, I want to kill you, Superman, because you have superpowers. It feels like scenes between them were cut out in order to establish the Justice League more, like to tie in and build up to the Justice League movie that's going to come soon. But you really need that Batman-Superman relationship. That's one of the best relationships in comics. Their differences, vengeance or justice, day and night, how Batman deals with this god, that all's not really in the movie. It's just like Batman's angry at Superman. The logic of the fight makes no sense. The finale is nothing but coincidences. Batman's ready to fight Superman, so he shines a bat signal into the sky. But he knows Superman can travel all over the world, so why is he gonna stay there for like a couple days till Superman just flies by and sees it? I don't get it. And Lex Luthor is arranging Superman to fight Batman, but that plot made no sense. Like, that was a really stupid shoehorn in the way to get them to fight. It felt really lazy and convoluted. And Lex Luthor is this master manipulator and plans everything to the detail, but there's no way he could have planned all this stuff. You'll see all the coincidences that lead to the actual fight and how Lex Luthor couldn't have possibly done any of that realistically. Which leads me to Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, which was the casting choice that I was most apprehensive about till I saw the trailers. I thought, wow, I'm a fan of this. I would like to see where they're going with him. But he's more like a cross between Jim Carrey's Riddler from Batman Forever and, ironically, Jeremy Irons from Die Hard 3. I was fine with his performance for the most part. If you're expecting like the DC animated Lex Luthor or the Smallville Lex Luthor or the comic book Lex Luthor, this really isn't it. I'm fine with taking characters that you've known for like 50 plus years and adapting them to modern ages, but this Lex Luthor didn't work all that well in this context. He's seemed very over the top. Like, I would have been fine if the over the topness was his public persona and he was really cold and calculating underneath to throw people off, but he really wasn't. He just seemed like a crazy man. And his motivations for being mad at Superman made some sense, but not a lot. It's kind of stupid. There's all this religious subtext about Superman being a demon and Lex Luthor being a religious nut. And I'm not a fan of that direction for the character. That's one of the mainstays of Superman villains. And Wonder Woman's in this movie. I love Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, actually. When I first saw it, I was like, wait, what? The chick from Fast and Furious 6 who died? Spoilers. But she's really sexy, she's mysterious, she perfectly fits the Wonder Woman character. She really embodies what Wonder Woman is. Like, she gave up on man a long time ago, and now she's just living her life until she gets called back into action due to extraordinary circumstances. A lot of people were worried because she's a bit skinny, but I think she did great as Wonder Woman. I never got the argument that you need to be super swole when you're a superpowered character. Like, how does Superman work out, stay in such great shape, when he can lift a train over his head with no struggle? I always thought that argument was stupid, that you need to look swole to have super strength. There's at least 5 different movie ideas in this movie. One's a Man of Steel sequel, where the world asks, does the world really need a Superman? There's a movie involving a Superman Wonder Woman team up. There's a great movie with Superman dealing with Lex Luthor, and Lex Luthor not fully comprehending or dealing with Superman's place in the world. There's a great Superman vs. Doomsday movie in here, and there's a great Batman vs. Superman movie in here. The problem is they combine them all and also do a few Justice League references on top of it. I really hate this comparison, but it really does feel like The Amazing Spider-Man 2, where Sony was building the Spider-Man cinematic universe, which was the worst idea ever, and they were doing all these Sinister Six references and building towards Venom and Doc Ock and Vulture, and it just felt like a hodgepodge of 5 different movies. Like, the cameos were cool for me and other DC fans. Like, I grew up on the Justice League cartoon, and I know a bit about the Justice League. I'm not, an expert or anything, but I just imagine people seeing these and just, like, shake, like, their heads hurting. Like, what does this mean? Who is this person? Why is this happening? But I got it. I think I know what they're building to and what the references mean, but the general audience is not going to know anything about these characters. In my review for Man of Steel, which you can check out on my channel, plug, I mentioned that they don't spend a lot of time trying to do the world building thing that those Avengers movies do, and this one falls into the Marvel trap of shoving too much references and trying to build towards this Justice League, the team-up movie, and I just don't think that's good. It felt a lot like Iron Man 2 and Age of Ultron in that regard, where the studio's just like, you gotta throw this in there because we got a movie coming out next year, we gotta do it, we gotta set this up, we can't just have Aquaman show up, what the hell? But positives, seeing the Trinity on screen was amazing. I've dreamed of that since I was a kid. Live action, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, oh my god, it was perfect seeing them all together and fighting together. It's a dream come true for anybody that grew up with the Justice League TV show or grew up with these characters. Seeing Doomsday in this movie was really cool. I liked the way he looked, but he really should have been saved for future movies. He was thrown in at the very end for no reason. It's like the Green Goblin in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, how he just shows up. But I like the way he looks. Everybody was crapping on the way he looks. I think he looks like Zod mixed with classic Doomsday. I think he looks really cool and inventive. And the CGI was good. The CGI didn't look that hot in the trailer, but it looked well in the movie. And this movie had great action. This is the best Batman fight choreography in the movie. It's very Arkham style, the Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight games. You don't go wrong with action in the Zack Snyder movie. The problem is characterization, character development, and the plot whenever you talk about a Zack Snyder movie. And there's this amazing fight scene where it's all one take. It looked very... There's a lot of visual callbacks to The Dark Knight Returns. The main source of inspiration for this is a lot of iconic imagery. Like, you see the lightning flash that's on the cover in the trailer. I think one of them. The movie had really awesome classic comic book stuff, imagery thrown in there too. And the movie had a pretty ballsy ending. We didn't really expect it to go in that direction, but they kind of undercut it in the final shot of the movie. Even though I had a lot of problems with the movie, I found myself enjoying it for the most part, but I'm not gonna lie, it was very disappointing to me. Like, I had very high expectations. Then the reviews started coming in, I just got lower and lower, but I was still kind of high. Then I actually saw the movie and I just left the theater. It's like, it was good. And I thought about it, I was like, okay, that was really disappointing. I don't know if it's Zack Snyder's fault for the hodgepodge of cluster stuff thrown in. Like, it feels like a very similar situation to Spider-Man 3, where they threw Venom in, and they threw Green Goblin in, they threw Sandman in, just to try to get people to spend money on it. But even with all the flaws, I'm still very excited for the future DC Extended Universe movies, especially if they make a Ben Affleck directed Batman movie. I'm gonna be all over that. But that's my thoughts on Batman v Superman. Thanks for watching. Watch my Man of Steel review and subscribe to my channel. Oh, and comment what you think about the movie. I haven't really asked that about other movies, but I want to talk about this one. If you really liked it, comment. If you hated it, comment. Bye.